Hello again, Sharkunel here. Tonight's video is an interview with one of the top PvP players in the Pittsburgh region, whose Pokemon Go handle is ExileExo. Exo and I did 3 practice battles this evening, and I'm going to broadcast that video after a short discussion, but I did want to pick Exile's brain about how he approaches PvP, how he prepares his team, and some of the sources he uses to find out information about the best matchups. If you like this kind of content, please like and subscribe to the video and watch to the end to see the battles. But first, a little conversation. Thanks. I'm joined tonight by ExileExo, who is another one of the top PvP players in the Pittsburgh region. I have been practice battling with him numerous times. I've faced him once in a tournament, and it was a close game, but he beat me. And we just completed 3 practice battles. So what I've asked EXO to do is join me here, and I'm going to grill him a little bit about his background with Pokemon Go and PvP, and how I'm going to ask him how he prepares for PvP battles. And then at the end of the video, I'm going to include some video of the 3 battles we did tonight, and I won't tell you how they came out. You'll have to watch to the end to see that. So EXO, thanks for joining me tonight.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me.
So let's start with just a little bit about your background with Pokemon Go and how you got into it.
Well, I originally started on launch day, back in 2016. But I quit like a month afterwards. My phone had issues connecting to the networks. Most people remember that during the beginning there were a lot of issues, and so I just kind of quit. And I recently got back into it um, right before Beldum Community Day. So I think that was October of 2017. Um,
Okay.
and I've just been playing as a dedicated player since then.
Let's talk about PvP. Were you kind of looking forward to it as it came in? Have you done any other competitive gaming? I talked to Rhino City last night, and he's a Magic the Gathering player and has been doing a lot of other competitive gaming. Have you done other competitive gaming besides Pokemon Go?
More like online gaming, I guess. I haven't done anything like Magic the Gathering or any, trading card games, anything like that. But I mean, I've been playing competitive online games since I was a kid.
Oh, okay.
Um,
Cool.
so I guess like some of the more recent games like StarCraft, right?
Uh-huh.
League of Legends and stuff like that.
Oh,
So
cool.
I guess I was pretty excited when PvP was announced.
Well, you've been competing in a bunch of tournaments around Pittsburgh. You and I have been in several tournaments together. Uh, so one of the reasons why I started this channel was to try to encourage people who might not be into PvP or might be interested or maybe a little intimidated or not know where to start. So one of the things I wanted to talk to some of the top PvP players about is how you get started in preparing for a tournament or just kind of figuring out how you're going into PvP. There's a lot of stuff online about some pretty sophisticated analyses and metas and things like that. But if you can break it down at a basic level, how you approach PvP and sort of where you start.
I think fundamentally you kind of have to get a good idea of what Pokemon are good. So like there's certain Pokemon. I mean, whether you're looking at just Great League or specific cups that just are very strong, meaning they can dish out a ton of damage while receiving a ton of damage. Um, so you kind of start there as a baseline, and then you think, okay, well, I can set up a team of really strong Pokemon. They have really good moves, they have great typing, or whatever. And then you consider, well, what beats those? And I think that's a really good basis for picking a starting team for any of the cups or even just Great League in general.
Do you use what sources do you use? Do you go on the web and look at the YouTubers and see everything they're talking about? Do you go to GoHub or any of the other websites and look at kind of the spreadsheets? Do you use PvPoke? What
Yeah,
sources do you use to help you figure out what are the best Pokemon for any particular cup?
so I use PvPoke primarily as a good resource to determine viable competitive Pokemon per stats and movesets and typing. I think that's the main resource available to me that I use.
Okay. So none of the like the YouTubers or the
No,
other commentators or Reddit and all those things.
nope. No, I mean, I read the subreddits. So like Silverina subreddit, I read that a lot. But beyond that, I think it's primarily PvPoke, and like I have a spreadsheet that kind of dives into TDO, so like total damage output of particular Pokemon with different movesets and stuff. But beyond that, that's pretty much all I do. And then I play around with things like with my friends too, and that gives a even more insight into how certain Pokemon react to certain things.
What? How much do you like practice? You and I just we're ultra friends in the game, so we get online sometimes in the evening, and we do practice battles against each other. How much practice do you do? I try to do a little bit, every other night with you and several other people. I know some others people are constantly practicing. So how much practice are you doing?
I guess I try to get my 3 games in every day for the rewards, and then usually that's with somebody else for the cup. So whatever that month is, that we'll practice that cup, and then sometimes maybe we'll do a few more. Like I think I've practiced with Rhino once, and we played like 6 games back to back, and then we kind of called it for the night, and that was it. But I try to do that every night if I can.
And how have you found the tournaments that you've been in? I've had a lot of fun going to the tournaments, meeting new people like you, and others. Uh, have you found that interesting and fun?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I think tournaments are just a great way to meet people around in your community that uh, enjoy the same things you do. In this case, Pokemon Go.
Well, I'll ask you the same question I asked Rhino at the end last night of my discussion with him. What would you tell to a new player, or maybe not a new player, but somebody who's been into Pokemon Go but who hasn't done a competitive tournament yet, about why they should get into it or why they should come to one of the tournaments and give it a try?
I might. I think the social aspect is the prime reason. Like at first, I did it for the competition. I thought it was a lot of fun, but I think the main reason I keep going is like meeting all new people. I'm starting to go to different areas and different the tournaments they're holding and meeting those people that are there and creating new friendships. And I think that's just a blast. And
Yeah,
I think that new players can, just you meet more people, in Pittsburgh that are doing the same thing you do. And I think that there's a lot to gain from that.
yeah. You and I both have been in tournaments in different areas of the city. Up in the North Hills and the West
Yeah.
Hills, and I've been out to Monroeville as well. So I've gotten to meet a bunch of new people playing the game, and without fail, I kind of like everybody who I've met. We all have a common interest in Pokemon Go anyway.
Yep.
Uh, well, turning to the 3 games we did tonight, just kind of as a recap, and I'm going to show the video at the end of this discussion when I post it up on YouTube. Uh, I will reveal for all the fans out there that you did take all 3 of the games from me. I've been fiddling around with my team, and I downloaded one of the spreadsheets that Elite Four TV put up. That has uh, he did a nice spreadsheet that has all the breakdowns of which the performance of 0, 1, and 2 shields for all the Pokemon, or the top 20 Pokemon in the so-called meta. And the other night I was using a team that had Bronzong and I forget another off or one of the peripheral Pokemon in the meta, and I decided tonight to run with just the main team that everybody's saying is the best team in the meta. And it seemed like you have been using a team that's counter programming to the meta. Uh, I mean,
That's
they're gonna see when they watch the video what your team is, at least what you're working with now. That doesn't mean that's what you're going to be going to the tournament with. Uh, but you did not have Bastiodon, and trying to look at your team. You
Lucario.
don't have
Yeah.
Lucario either.
Yeah.
So tell me the thinking behind your thought behind putting your team together.
If you want honesty, I
Yeah,
don't I don't
or
have Lucario or Bastiodon, so
whatever you're willing to share anyway.
yeah, I mean I just don't have the other Pokemon. I'm not sure that I would include Bastiodon if I had it, but Lucario is it's amazing in this cup. And I just don't have it, so that's the easy answer.
Well, I think our battles tonight exposed my remaining weakness. I'm not somebody who has played Pokemon for years and years and years and knows all the typings yet and knows the exact matches. I try to study up with some of the spreadsheets, and by the end of the month, I might know them probably better than, because one of the tournaments I think we're going to be participating in is later in the month. So I'm probably going to know them a lot better by then than I do now. And I think my weakness is looking at my opponent's team of 6 and selecting the right 3 that complement each other and protect each other's weaknesses and cover for each other. And at least in one of the games, I made one significant shielding error that I think cost me the game. In the second game, you had a Kingdra, and
Oh
I
yeah.
had
Hmm.
Lapras, and
Yep.
I let your attack through, and you took me out with one
Yeah, that outrage.
that
Yeah.
dragon move. I had forgotten that Kingdra had the dragon move. I didn't. That's because I didn't know the type matches. But I played the same team again, and I think you played the same team in the third game, and
Hmm.
I corrected that error, and yet you still took the game from me. So I still think my mistake was in selecting the team of 3 for the right complement. So that's one thing that I continue to struggle with. How do you approach that decision kind of in the game when you're looking at your opponent's team of 6 and figuring out what what you use?
I think it's a pretty complicated.
That's true.
uh, the whole process is
And that's why
pretty
it's eluding me.
intense because like you have some Pokemon that are just super heavy fast attack users like Kingdra. So if Kingdra has an opening that's a pretty safe opening, I have to strategically use that to take excuse me, take a lot of HP away from my opponent without using charge moves or taking away shields, and I have to use my other 2 Pokemon to complement that. Um, and in other cases, you have something that like Frostlass, where they're going to be just chugging away charge moves and not doing a whole lot with their fast moves. And maybe if your whole team is susceptible to that, I'll open with Frostlass, and then I have to strategize the other 2 around that.
You didn't use
Um,
Frostlass against me at all tonight.
yeah, your team, I'd say handles Frostlass quite well, so I didn't bring it in at all. Same with Blaziken. I was very afraid to bring Blaziken. So I mean, that's 2 Pokemon that your team would effectively nullify. So I stayed away from both of those, and I found a team of 3 that I felt pretty confident with, um, and safe. So it's kind of what I ended up doing.
Well, you made the right choices, as whoever's watching this is going to see in a moment. I appreciate you coming on tonight and having this short discussion. As I said, the reason I started the YouTube channel was to try to um, promote PvP to folks who might not be doing it or who might have an interest and be a little intimidated to come out to a tournament and kind of talk people through how some of the top PvP players are looking at this thing. So I appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, thank you very much for the opportunity.
No
It was
problem.
a fun chat.
Thanks. Okay, now at this point, I'm going to run the video of the 3 battles between Exo and I. And first, we'll show the teams. Here is his team. As indicated, there is no Lucario, no Bastiodon on his team. And here's mine, using essentially what's being viewed as the standard meta right now. So first battle, I lead with Lucario. He leads with Kingdra. I think this is one of the matchups that he mentioned. So I get the power-up punch off first. He does not shield. And Lucario handles Kingdra with a little bit of health left and 1 power-up punch charged up. Doesn't do a great deal to Altaria. He takes it out pretty quickly. The only counter I have is my Altaria. So I want to get through his, so I shield. He switches to Steelix. Not a good matchup. Altaria doesn't have much impact on Steelix. But the only other thing I have in the back is Bastiodon, which also doesn't do that well against Steelix, so I'm not in a good situation here. Again, as indicated, it's about picking the team, and I think I picked wrong. So, nothing much to be done here. Steelix is going to take out Bastiodon. He's got a shield. So first game goes to Exo. Second game I switch it up and use 3 different Mons. I leave Bastiodon and Lucario at home. Start with Steelix. We have Steelix versus Kingdra. Again, I don't think this is a good matchup for me. Water damage bites Steelix hard. He switches to his own Steelix. I get a crunch off, but he's got the health advantage here. I have shield advantage. So I bring Lapras. This is a good matchup for me. Lapras water damage hurts Steelix. So I use one of the shields. We're shield neutral now, and Lapras, I farm a little bit of energy. So I'm here with Lapras with half health left. Some nice farmed up energy. He brings Kingdra. I do not shield the dragon attack, and all that farmed energy went to waste. That's the mistake I mentioned in the conversation with Exo. So I have a bad matchup on the third Pokemon too. So on the third match, I used the same team, wanting to see what happens. I was assuming he was going to use the same team, and I wanted to see what happens if the battle played out and I did not make the mistake with the shield. And I think it's going to play out exactly the same way. And I don't make the mistake with the shield, and he still wins. So again, I believe the error was in picking my team. So here we are, Steelix versus Steelix. His Steelix takes out mine. I bring in the Lapras. Get the Surf off. Take out his Steelix. He is going to bring in Kingdra again. I shield the Outrage this time. Get off another Surf. But this still is not a good matchup, or as good a matchup as I need it to be, because Altaria is able to take out my Lapras before I can get off that last Surf. And the matchup between Blaziken here and Altaria is not a good one. I'm not able to sneak out the win. It's closer. It's a much closer battle, but he still wins with a sliver of health on Altaria. So I am continuing to learn from all these battles. Thank you to Exo for giving me the battles. And if you like this content, please like and subscribe to the channel. There will be more to come. Till next time. Thanks for watching.